Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Who What Now podcast, the podcast for consumers by consumers, where we ask the questions: Who are you? What got you into gaming? And what type of gamer are you now? I am your humble host, Josh Stewart, and today we have an absolute guest, the returning, evening out the score, bringing up from the caboose of episodes, I guess, from episode 1, from the D&D episode, from moving up through the ranks, our tech guy, our fantastic, absolute wonderful friend of mine, Noah. How you doing, dude?
Hey, yep. I couldn't let Tom have the lead for very long, so evening the score, back up where I belong. Here we go.
My favorite thing. I like how just like by the end of like, we'll hit like episode, I don't know, 200, and it'll be like, all right, Noah's got this many, Tom's got this many. It's gonna be so good.
Shoot.
Yeah, so today I figured, it's been a while. It has been requested, oddly enough. It's something I've definitely wanted to do for a while, but I really wanted to kind of get the podcast established entirely, first before I really went into it. And now I feel like the time has come. And I think today is the day that we discuss the notoriously amazing, fantastic, we talk about it all the time, Baldur's Gate 3.
Hell yeah. So pumped to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to jump into Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 has been honestly it's been a fan favorite all around the gaming community. It took 7 awards at the Game of the Year event.
Hell yeah.
It's amazing. The story that they have put into this, the voice actors that they have put and actresses that they have put into this game, it's incredible. It's unbelievable. Let's start off as a little teaser to later in the episode when we talk about, but you and I actually got the glorious privilege of seeing in person 3 of the voice actors and actresses of this game.
We did.
And I got one of the signatures.
Yeah, you did. You worked for that too. That was
a
long line.
Yeah, that was a long one.
Long line and a nice hefty charge too. But you know what?
It was worth it.
Right?
100% worth it. I even got my dad is he frames. He's been framing for like years. Yeah. And I think it was like the very next day from when we got back from. So for anyone who doesn't know, Noah and myself, we went to Too Many Games convention. And at the Too Many Games convention, we were able to see 3 voice actors and actresses were there doing a panel and also like doing signatures and stuff.
Yeah.
So
super fun.
Yeah, it was incredible. I got Neil Newbon's signature, who plays Astarion. And then there was also Maggie Robertson, who plays Orim. And then we have Samantha Karlak.
It's I was gonna say Beard, but it's Bert or Bert.
Yeah, that's right. So we were so lucky.
We had it.
I was like, it was whatever. You know what? Come at me, okay? I'm over here just doing my thing. All right.
I'm impressed that you had the other ones.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the fact that you could,
all right?
the fact that you had 2 out of the 3, honestly, for you, dude, that's really good. Give yourself a pat on the back.
I thank you. Because
I had no idea.
I love Karlak's character so much that I was like, oh, great, cool. Watch me blank on the one character that I love, like Astarion
my favorite
and
character.
Karlak. Yeah, I know. Yeah, my favorite character is what's that name again?
Welcome to the world of ADHD, folks.
Yeah, God, so
all right.
embarrassing. But yeah, so my dad frames pictures for for like a long time, for like a living, side gig, side
Oh,
hustle, whatever you
cool.
want to call it. And so he's super skilled in that. He's got a lot of like the really good connections to get like the really nice like moldings, and it's just his work is very like he's also an artist. He doesn't
Hmm.
just do the framing, but he's an artist,
Wow.
so it kind of comes hand in hand. So I basically called him up and like begged him. I'm trying to pull in like a favor or something, to be like, hey man, I
Father.
got this. Yeah, dear father, I have this picture that I would really like framed, please.
Isn't it great when you're the son of a very talented person? It just feels great, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
My
assuming
father,
that's how my kids feel all the time.
yeah, right. I believe it in your case, man. In mine, like my father is many things, but he is also a very talented artist. And then here am I, like just like,
What are you talking about? You're super talented.
thank you, but yeah.
Listen,
But anyway, shout out Josh's dad for the
yeah,
awesome frame.
we're not gonna get super sentimental here, but I am just saying you can't put yourself down here. Literally, none of this show would even be possible if you didn't like have this.
Shucks.
So
If you say
that's
so.
yeah, I do say so, and you know what? God damn it, that is law. Okay. So
Thank
Noah,
you. Yeah,
we started playing Baldur's Gate 3 when it first came out.
we did.
And weirdly enough, this was one of the games that does not give you problems starting up.
Yeah, right. Crazy enough, I was ahead of you for like a while.
Yeah, you were.
With our first playthroughs because
Yep.
because I play on easy and don't explore a lot, and you play on like normal and look at every single fucking pebble and make sure there's nothing going on. So
we gotta correct it. I wouldn't even say it's easy mode. I think that you're a gamer who enjoys a story
yes,
more than you do like the mechanics.
Yeah.
So I would even say story mode is like the what you enjoy playing on, which is not bad. Like that's
I'm shameless with
you
it.
enjoy the story.
Yeah. I place a lot of value in the narrative, and so I like to minimize the things that for me can bog down pressing forward in the narrative. And that's why they're there, and that's why they make those modes. And so I'm a shameless user of the casual / story
no shame
modes. But yeah, because of that, I was pushing ahead for a while, but not for long. Let's just
I think I got my first playthrough. I don't think I left Act 1 until I was 70 hours into the game. And
that's about how many hours I have in the game.
But it's super nice. I actually, every time I play the game, I find that I'm playing or that I'm discovering something entirely new, and that is so enjoyable to me.
Oh hell yeah!
So I wanted to go in from the ground up. Let's do. I think it'd be fun to do like a. We're gonna break down the whole game, break down the the characters, what we liked about it, things that are frustrating, like different parts and bits and pieces through the acts. Move our way up to just about the end of the game. We'll do a little spoiler warning, and then I want an honest review. Because I feel like you and I, we've had this discussion before where, there's a huge difference between reviews and first impressions. And I feel like you and I have enough experience of this to give our review. Plus, this game's been out has it been a year now? Has it been about a year?
A couple months till
be close,
we're
right?
getting close.
It's got to be close. So,
definitely.
Let's start off the very, very beginning. The first choice that you made in the game. What was your build? Do you remember what you picked?
Yeah, I went because Baldur's Gate 3 is so closely tied to D&D, like it is basically the D&D video game.
Yes,
there are some
5e.
Yeah, there are some major variances that have to be made, but
Yes.
in general, I mean, you roll dice for a lot of stuff. Like it is as close an approximation to playing D&D in a video game form as I think you can get at this point, where we are. And I mean, so absolutely amazing. So I pulled in my first ever D&D character and made a couple adjustments, but my first ever D&D character, we didn't end up finishing the campaign, so I never got to like see this character through. So I wanted to give him a chance in the game. So I made, yes. So my first BG3 character is Norman. Now I did adjust him a little bit. And because in the original campaign, my hope was to kind of turn Norman into a paladin of sorts. So instead of evolving from fighter into a paladin, we just went paladin right away. So
which in Baldur's Gate 3, honestly, probably your best decision.
Yeah, I know it's been really fucking fun playing as a paladin. Yeah, I know it ended up being one of the most popular picks, and because it's just you can power build those things.
It's so strong, especially when you put all those smites together.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to lift.
Yeah, we can get into it. I think that's part of why I did so well for so long playing in the narrative and playing as a paladin. That when I got to Act 3, I suddenly realized that maybe I had not been focusing on my builds good enough, and the game started to get actually a lot more challenging for me.
Well, what's really nice is I'm assuming you got Withers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Withers, for those who have never played the game, shame on you. Play the game.
Yeah. Boo, shame.
Shame.
Yep.
Withers is what would you even say Withers is? Because he's an undead but also undying, not quite a god but not godless. He almost reminds me of like a lich, but not a lich. You know what I mean? Like he's all powerful, but he's not a powerful being. But he is, but he isn't. It's strange.
Yep. Pretty much. Yeah, he's very enigmatic type guy. Just totally, it's hard to put a finger. He does very much just directly look like a corpse, a walking corpse. So like in visual, that's what he looks like. But yeah, in beyond that, it's like, God damn it, it's hard to really pinpoint for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does a lot of cool stuff for you in the game.
Yeah, tell us what he does.
He manages the hirelings. He helps with the hirelings, which I have not used in my playthroughs of yet. No, I have not.
Yeah. I think so. I'm gonna just derail just for a minute there. I think
let's derail.
The hirelings I think are presented in a way that I don't think people utilize.
Yeah,
that didn't make any sense. If so, they're like, hey, here's some hirelings. You can build them however you want, which is entirely true. You absolutely can. Mm-hmm. But I think that they're almost like advertised as like to replace a member of your party. Yeah. And I've found that that's not the most useful use for them. In fact, I have found that there's like certain ones that have certain like starter classes that you have to choose from. Mm-hmm. And so like one of them is like this like cleric type of thing. And with this, you can, in my games, I will use those hirelings and build them specifically so that they do very specific like things. So if I want to craft potions or something, I would build one of the hirelings so that I would get the bonuses to get the feats and the bonuses, so that when I craft it, there's a chance I'll make 2 of them instead of 1 of them, or it'll be a stronger, this, that, and the other thing, or I can use less resources and stuff. So then while I'm out adventuring and I'm gathering all the things I need, when I go to rest at camp, I come into camp and I just give all of the materials to that hireling. And then I'll use the hireling to craft all the potions and stuff. And now I have just this plentiful like
Goddamn.
bundle of them, and then I'll use those to give back to the party members, and I'll send I'll be like, all right, thank you, I don't need you anymore.
Yeah, that
and then I
wasn't
go
my
back
impression at all on what you could use them for. That's something else. Shit.
Yeah. It's also really nice for what do you call honor mode, which is like the hardest difficulty possible.
Yeah, so I won't ever be playing that, but yeah.
It's really nice there because then you're like, oh well, if one of the hirelings die, like it's whatever, shit
Fuck
happens.
Low lives.
You mean nothing to me.
You know what you signed up for.
yeah, right. All right, so you made Norm. Did you go? I don't know. You might have said it already. Did you go human?
Yes, I did. Lame, but
just kidding.
But that's what my character was. That was what my character was. So yeah, human paladin, big boy,
human paladin, nice,
boy, big dick. We got it all.
Yeah.
We
Speaking of, what a turn.
Yeah.
What a turn for that one. When you start making your game and you just start going through all the customizations, and then you get down to this thing, it just says genitals, and then you just got this dick flopping in your face, and you're like, hold on, what? And you're like, oh, this'll rarely ever come up in the game. But
I would like to know what person did not pick the biggest one. Like, I'm just gonna say, like, you are given the option for small or large.
100%.
How do you when do you not pick large?
Listen, I'm there with you, dude. I was like, well, I'm not gonna.
I mean, if I have the option. I mean, come on.
Choose, yeah.
We'll give you a slider. Okay.
Oh, man. At least I get to choose in this game in real life. Anyway.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. Insert sad music here. Yeah, so you made the human paladin, the big dick paladin, and
big dick energy.
Big dick energy.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Really
sorry,
fun.
I have to drink a whole lot of water during this episode. I'm going through
he's recovering,
dehydration recovery thing.
This is commitment here, podcast listeners. Mr. Host here is not even feeling good, and yet here he is.
Yeah.
Getting it done.
I had to do a full cleanse, but we'll get into that on the lives and stuff. It wasn't fun or pretty, but
check out Phoenix Stewart on Twitch if you want to hear about his illness.
Yeah, you want to hear about my bathroom problems? Check us out on Twitch.
All the juicy deets.
So bad. Oh man, no one's gonna want to listen to this episode. Be like, yeah, we tried to listen to his podcast, wouldn't see what he was about. All he did was talk about bathroom issues and dick, so we didn't know what the hell was going on.
Hey, I listened to that.
Oh man.
So, yeah, so totally loved the paladin build. Went pretty I would say pretty straight laced. Being nice, being kind, romance, Shadowheart.
That's what I was going to ask. So, you went the hero route.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's typically my go-to if I'm given those choices. I tend to go kind of the good. Shout out Paragon in Mass Effect. I tend to kind of make those choices at least as a first time playthrough, and then if I go back, that's when I start to be the asshole and just see what's there.
Yeah,
that's
what I did. I went straight laced, the hero, very first playthrough, and then my second playthrough. That's when I wanted to be as mean and horrible as possible, which is super awesome because this game allows you those choices. It gives the opportunities, it gives the choices, it gives the free roam to be how you want to be, and it's incredible. And they thought about the endings. which is
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
unbelievable.
It's like you think about what it takes to craft a story that you know that the endings have variance, but there's generally a general path that you're going on, but the story is crafted in a way that you can be a really good person or you can be a complete and utter piece of shit evil person, and
Yeah.
still the story can kind of cover that
Yes.
that takes work, and that takes a lot of effort to because you think they're two completely opposing viewpoints. How can you follow a similar path while but the fact that they created a story that allows for that is I think that people don't think about how insane that is and how much work that must have taken to
Yeah.
even have the base story in general be able to accommodate for completely opposing points of view. I think that's pretty crazy, and it's astounding how well they did with it too.
Yeah, it's incredible, and to be able to think about like, so somebody's gonna go do this thing over here, and then to have a team that sits there and goes, oh well, what if they didn't?
Yeah,
Well, what does the story look like if they just chose not to do that? And
yeah,
it completely spawns this whole new set of like events, timeline stuff, and it's all accessible. It's
mm,
incredible. And the fact that like even in the story, it gives you options that you can completely skip full sections of the game and
mm-hmm.
never see them, never interact with them, solely because I didn't want to.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah.
So, when do you remember who like your first like all through arc 1 or
Mm-hmm.
act 1, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Do you remember who your party like was? Like who'd you mess around with? Who'd you like what was your party, I guess, build? And then I want to get into the decisions that we made in act 1.
Hell yeah. Generally speaking, when I played, I as a D&D player and a DM, I think about a balanced party so much, and so I thought about the fact that you need a good melee person, and as a paladin, that was kind of me. I was really good in melee, but and then I needed a good spellcaster. And I found that what often worked best for me was, unfortunately, I never have been able to, and I'll admit this, Shadow Heart's, straight up cleric build. I've had difficulty getting like good numbers damage wise from her.
What?
Really, but as my chosen romance, you bring her every time.
Yeah.
That's how I play, for the most part, with some rare exceptions. So that to use her as a spellcaster is not. So I found that it was me as the main melee, Shadowheart as my kind of spellcaster healer, obviously, and then
Right.
I would switch. I did a lot of switching for that final. Sometimes I brought a someone like Gale who I could use as a good ranged spellcaster to really get some of those good ranged spells in. And then I also brought Will a decent amount of times for some of his spell work, and then his also to assist a little in melee. But then, for some of those just big enemies with lots of hit points, Karlach
Sure.
was a really good option to
Yes.
just give her let her rage, do her thing, and just to really bump up the number. So like I would have it where just like Karlach and I are right up in this fucker's face, just pound, massive damage, and then
Yep.
Shadowheart's back healing us up and sending out little extra guiding bolts, as well. And that
Yeah,
seemed to work
Shadowheart's really there
quite
for like
well.
moral support.
Yeah, exactly. You go, babe. You got this.
You're doing great. Yay.
And we just kick a lot of ass. So Karlach definitely came with me a lot. I would say Act 2 was more heavy Karlach. I would say Act 1, it was between Gale and Will a lot in Act 1. As long and then
That's incredible.
Shadowheart. Yeah.
See, I think that just shows the difference in like our play styles.
Yeah.
I think Will is still one of the most least used characters in all of my plays. I don't I like Will.
Yeah.
I'm not good with like warlocks, and I don't really. It's not. I think my knowledge base for all the other classes are so much more vast than like the warlock, and so
Yeah.
I don't entirely use like Will. I really enjoyed Will's story, which
Yeah.
makes me feel like I wish I would have used Will more, but I just like it was
Yeah.
like it got to a point where like I could only do a couple things with Will,
Yeah.
and I don't really enjoy the repetition thing,
Mhm.
except with one of my builds, which is just the complete exception of that rule. But I
Yeah.
enjoy being able to do different things in different situations, and I like the variety.
Yeah.
Whereas Will just kind of got to a point where I was like, if I'm in melee range, I'm hitting, and if I'm farther away, I'm doing an Eldritch Blast, and that was where I was at, you know.
Yeah, definitely felt that way. It just I used him a lot of times. It would be I liked having him along for like the role play stuff and
Yeah.
the conversations, and then we're in combat, he's there.
Yeah.
He was not always my first choice to actually like bring into combat. Yeah.
Yeah, my go-to classes. So I originally I made a um oddly enough, my very first build, I also chose a human. Um,
Mm.
Ever since
Yeah.
then, I have not chosen a human, and it was all honestly, it was because I did the same thing that you did.
Yeah.
I had a character in the same game that did not get to see,
Yeah.
light, didn't get to see the build, and I got really attached to this character, and so I created this character, named him Phoenix, and it was a human fighter, and we went with the Eldridge Knight build. And it was
Nice.
awesome. It was so
Yeah.
good. It was such a heavy hitter, and just so good. But I found that I eventually just ended up creating a character party that consisted of Astarion to be my sneaky little sassy dude,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had Karlach and myself running up through the up to doing like the heavy hitting stuff, and then I used Shadowheart entirely for healing.
Yeah.
And so, but I also I'm a story person. I enjoy the
Yeah.
story. I enjoy the engagement of the story. So when I originally first played the game, like the very first playthrough, I did not think I thought I was going to be sneaky and smart here, because in as the story goes, Shadowheart, when you first run into Shadowheart, you technically run into Lae'zel first. You are on the nautiloid, and
Yeah.
you basically get out of this like cocoon looking thing, and you have to head to the helm of the ship. In doing so, you have an option. I don't know if you did this. Did you save the brain dog?
My first playthrough, I don't believe I did. No.
I tried really
Ever
hard.
since.
I did
Ever
not.
since. Ever
You
since
got
I
ever
have.
since?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did not get I did not do it the first time because I didn't know that was the
Exactly.
thing I could get, you know.
Exactly. I thought, this thing looks like it's gonna want to kill me later.
Yeah,
It's a
I failed my
brain dog.
rolls.
Like
Yeah, I failed my rolls, and I ended up crushing the skull and never even got to talk to it. So, but I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm a strong boy. We're gonna move on.
Yeah.
And so then eventually, when you meet you meet Lae'zel, and then you
Mhm.
team up, and then you head over and you run into Shadowheart. Now you have a choice. You can either free Shadowheart, or you can ignore Shadowheart and just run to the helm. which then eventually when you run into Shadowheart again, she's going to be kind of pissed. You're like,
Mhm.
hey man, what the fuck? You know? But if you do save her, she goes and gets the artifact. The artifact is like this spiky looking D20. Now I bring
Mhm.
all this stuff up because my first playthrough, I thought that in order to keep the artifact with us, I thought that Shadowheart needed to remain in the party. And so I did not want to ever get rid of Shadowheart because I thought if I
Mm.
did so, I was going to mess up like little aspects of the story. And I
Yeah.
also never wanted to take the artifact from Shadowheart. I wanted Shadowheart to be like the protector of this artifact, as like the story was kind of saying. So my
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
first playthrough, Shadowheart never once ever left my party. Like once
Damn.
from the very beginning of the game to the very end of the game, Shadowheart was in every single fight, every single conversation, every single moment.
Yeah.
Weirdly
Same.
enough, I did not romance a single character my first entire playthrough. And I'll
Nice.
tell you what,
Well done.
I think it was because I messed up immediately. I don't know what happened, but for those who don't know, you can basically romance any of your companions. Some of them will be polyamorous. Some of them are, they want just you, which is fine. It's you kind of figure out who you enjoy the most, and if you don't, like, you don't have to romance any of them. And there's
Yeah.
almost like a fun aspect of just going through the game like a normal D&D game. Like when you're playing D&D with your buddies, you're not trying to romance all of them. Yeah, that'll cause some tension. But like so when I first played the game, like my very first playthrough, Lae'zel was like, "Oh, you're so strong and so wise in battle, and I just can't keep myself from you." And I was like, "What's up? How you doing?" And then it was like, bang, hookup kind of thing. But then after that, I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that Karlach was in the game." So I was like, "I'm gonna go romance Karlach." But then I broke up with
Uh-oh.
Lae'zel, and then that triggered, like, I can't ever romance Lae'zel again anymore. But because I was already with Lae'zel when I was trying to romance Karlach, that messed that whole thing up. So like I messed up a whole bunch of stuff. So when I got to like the end of the game, I kept trying to do all the fun options with Karlach, and then we got to the end, and it was like I was talking to this one like shopkeep or something, and the shopkeep was like, "Oh, are you two together?" And I was like, "Uh-huh." And Karlach was like, "What? No, ew, gross. We're just really good friends." And I was like, why did that? I was like,
You got friend zoned in the
I know.
video game.
I was like, that hurt in the video game, but it also hurt me in real life. Like as a married man in real life, I was like, ow, what the hell,
Even in a video game, your game was just not there,
I'm
man.
telling you. At that point, I
You're
had
out
to
of
like
practice.
I had to rethink my life. I like went up to my wife and I was like, why are you with me again? Because like I was like, I can't even do the video game thing. How did I land
Oh,
you?
good.
Oh, it's rough.
Oh,
It
man.
hurt.
Yeah, I definitely had a bit of an issue with romancing Shadowheart, where I think the game was just early on there were a couple bugs, but she there's this point where she basically has to decide to get rid of her like religious stupidity,
Mm-hmm.
and so she's pretty damn depressed about it. But
Yeah,
she
she's
also,
a
at the exact same time that realization hits her, she also had admitted that she had feelings for my character. And so
yeah.
then it was like it was basically a crapshoot when I would talk to her whether she's going to be emo, depressed, Shadowheart, or hello, lover, Shadowheart.
Are you talking about end of Act 2?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
It was like broken.
All right, yeah, because we're gonna get into that. Yeah, there was.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm
there's so
jumping
much.
ahead.
There's so much to talk about this game. Like it's almost like it's. I would love to see anybody try to stick on a linear path talking about this
right.
game.
I mean, you can't even in the game. You
It's not. Oh my god!
The
Yeah,
game
what the hell?
itself. makes you go all over. Oh, look at
Game's
that!
all over
Oh,
the
that
damn
path.
place.
What's down this path?
So essentially you go and you find Will in the grove, in the tiefling
Back to Act 1, by the way.
yes,
We're
druid
refocusing.
grove. Refocusing. Okay, we've landed, we've crashed the ship.
Yes.
And I've talked about this on the on the podcast before. I pick it up every single time. We picked it up on stream, and I told everybody the same story while I was on stream. Okay, you crash. Okay, something saves you, and you don't know what. Right, and you go wake up. Shadowheart, if you saved Shadowheart, and and you have a little quick conversation. Then you walk over, and there is a burning boat and a big old thing of fish, and there's just a dead guy, and he's got a note. And we read it out on stream, and it talks about how, it's his love, and saying, hey, if you truly love me, get on a boat, leave everything behind, and come meet me in Baldur's Gate. And you know what? He didn't make it. And it is my favorite thing to pick up every time.
God damn.
So you find
brutal.
Yeah, so you get Lae'zel, or you get Shadowheart, and then you head over to Gale. Do you remember how you get Gale?
Yeah, he's got his hand just kind of waving through this void.
Hello? Yeah,
he's like saying, "Hello, help me out here." And if you're nice, you pull him through.
Yes. Now I feel like this is the first one where there is a character. I like to think that this character is the origin character of this campaign. And I think that it is the Dark Urge. And I think so there's a character option to choose the Dark Urge. The Dark Urge is basically it's originally built as a Dragonborn, but you can build the character however you please. But the Dark Urge is a character who has no memory of the past, basically knows as much as you do as a character. But every time you come across like a dead body or like a massacre area, like it gives you these like options where your character's kind of happy and enjoying this stuff. It's very dark, very brutal. So when you get to Gale, it gives you the option to just rip his arm off.
Yes.
And you can just do it. The downfall is that you just don't get Gale for the entire game. Like Gale's character is just done. Yep, he's just done. That's it. You don't get Gale anymore, but you do get to carry around Gale's arm for the rest of the game.
Yep, and you better believe my Dark Urge save. We got Gale's arm.
Oh yeah, I'm at the point where I'm like I went dark. I went dark with the Dark Urge just to see, like, because the game gives you the options. How far does the game allow you to do this?
Yeah.
So, from there, if you save Gale, you will then come across Lae'zel next to one of the camps. From there, you'll also find. Karlach is much farther down as you kind of go past you got fights. Can
I just say that it took me way too long to figure out how to get Lae'zel out of that damn cage. Oh really? I mean I was just like, I tried to jump, I tried to shoot up from the
you had to shoot the
game
bottom
does
out
not
of
like
the...
or like you can shoot the top of it and make the whole cage fall, and it was just like the game does not like tell you these things, and oh my god, it was rough. I was like, this is how this game is gonna be. I'm telling you. I got all kinds of grumpy about it, and then turns out it's just my own idiocy. But
weirdly enough, like I think the Act 1 is probably the hardest part of the entire game. And I say that only because like you're so
especially
low level
on a first playthrough too, when you don't know.
Oh my god, the amount of times that I died. We're actually having a great time right now because I remember so much of the game. while
Yeah.
we're streaming the game, and the twist is on stream that if you jump in on chat and you're hanging out and having a good time, you get to choose my decisions, and whatever I see first, that's what we go with.
Yeah.
So I'm building the characters, and then people come in and they choose like the decisions that we're doing, and it's getting wild, it's getting brutal. But because I know what I'm doing, we actually have not been taking a whole lot of like damage and a whole lot of rests and stuff.
Nice.
To the point where I'm constantly forgetting to save. But one of the things, oh, I'm so sorry, excuse me. One of the things that you learn very, very early on in the game is that you have to save all the time, because you'll be playing and then you'll die or get like a total party kill, and then it'll be like, do you want to restart from where you last saved? And you're like, oh my god, when did I save last?
Yep.
And you're like, oh, that was an hour and a half ago, or oh, that was like 4 hours ago. And you're
very little auto saving happening. Yep.
It's rough. It is rough. Like, you save all the time.
The cool thing is that you can save anytime. You can save in the middle of a conversation. You can save in a cutscene. Basically, you can save anytime you want, which opens the door for some interesting gameplay choices. Nothing you do has to be what you do if you know when to save.
Oh, 100%. I will
have
say,
strong-armed the game into doing what I wanted it to do a couple times.
You're like,
because I'm like, nope. I am not giving up until this happens, and it's taking a while sometimes.
Yeah. Listen, I wish they had that for Mass Effect, because those dialogue options don't ever make any sense. At least in this game, when they say, "Oh, hey, I would like to do this, that, and the other thing,"
that is what you're saying.
It. Yeah,
right.
Not like in Mass Effect, where he's like, "Hey, good job," and they're like, "Yeah, you could have done better, idiot." And you're like, "That's not what I said at all. That is not even close to the game." So you get the whole party. You now
Astarion is also in there. He's hanging around.
We have Astarion, we have Lae'zel, we have Will, we have Gale, and we have Shadowheart. So we have 5 total companions, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Act 1, you get 5 total companions. Now, eventually, you'll get other companions later based on decisions you make and dialogue.
Well,
options
and Karlach
is
a little bit delayed, but she's also picking up. You're picking her up.
Did I miss Karlach?
Well. I don't think you originally listed her. She's down the path a little ways, though, so it makes sense. She's not crashed off the ship. Most of the others are either crashed off the ship or really close. Whereas Karlach
Karlach is crashed off the ship.
Oh, she is? I thought she was you're right. I thought she was just on a mission and Will was hunting her.
Yes, that is what happened and was taken. But every single one of the members, all of your party members,
that would make sense,
because that's how they get.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
I don't actually think we've mentioned this in the 40 minutes that we've been recording. The whole point of everyone getting together is that everyone has a parasite in their heads.
Yes.
And the parasite is from the Illithid, which are like these, Futurama, like Zoidbergs, that kind of things.
Yeah.
So everyone has a parasite. So everyone has a parasite in their brain that is just basically kind of eating away.
Yeah.
But there is something that is keeping everyone going from going through what's it called, ceramorphosis or something like that.
Yeah, basically turning into one of them.
Right. So you get to make these decisions to kind of gather your party together and basically agree as a party that you're all going to figure out how to get these parasites out of your brain. But doing so, you get to meet some very interesting individuals. So I wanted to ask you, in just Act 1, did you go through all of the options that you could possibly go through, or did you you kind of stuck to more of the story kind of things, or did you veer off at anything, like explore a lot?
I did a decent amount of exploring in Act One, partially because I didn't know what was story connected and what wasn't, and also just because I did want to see what all was there. So like I did find the old lady's hut, which I think is one of the big side things in Act One.
Auntie Ethel.
Yes, Auntie Ethel. I did find her. I remember you texting me when we were playing it the first time, and I was like, "Oh shit, you found her real early."
Yeah, because she's in the grove.
Yeah, you followed that up and got there real early, and she fucked you up quite a bit, if I'm not mistaken. It took you a while to get clear of that one.
Yeah, that one took a long time. I died so many times, but I also, like, I think I was under leveled, but
Yeah, exactly.
because I was so determined, because that gamer instinct in me was
Yeah.
like, we are doing this.
Yeah.
I discovered very early something super 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 cool about the Auntie Ethel encounter that apparently a lot of people missed, and I found much later on YouTube after I'd already done it. So I gotta ask you, did you get the secret item from Auntie Ethel?
I don't think I did. No. That whole situation did not go as planned when I was in.
All right. Well, before I say what I did, why don't you tell us what you did?
Basically, I looked up how to properly handle Auntie Ethel, and I still fucked it up. So that's how it happened for me. So yeah, girl dies, and
you killed Mayrina.
Yep, I couldn't save her, and I forgot, and I didn't save, so I was not willing to restart, and
no.
Yeah, she's dead in my game. And I was doing it. I was doing everything right. Like, dude, when I tell you I'm bad at video games, I failed on casual mode while reading a guide, and I still fucked it up.
Man.
I cheated, and I still messed it up.
This is too good.
Yeah. So secret item? Hell no.
I played the game on easy mode with a guide.
Like, what exactly do I do so that this does not happen? Oh, I still can't get it done.
Oh my god. That's so funny. Yeah,
I sure wasn't in the moment, dude. My god, the words that came out of my mouth when that girl died.
Oh god, that was so funny. Yeah, so what I ended up doing when I walked in there, I'd been messing with Shadowheart, his camera. I've been messing with Shadowheart and Shadowheart's build and figuring out like what Shadowheart can do, and I discovered that Shadowheart has this thing called like create water, and I was trying to use this with like a bit of like Gale's stuff with like shocking grasp and lightning bolt and all that stuff. And so when doing these things, I was kind of curious, like how much it would relate to with with real life or like with D&D 5e, which was that basically things that are wet get extra damage when electrocuted. So I'd already had Shadowheart with create water. So when we walked into the Auntie Ethel fight, the Ethel sets the cage on fire, and I'm like, well, this is immediately a giant nuisance. So I just used create water to put the cage out, and then was
how nice.
There we go.
Great. What a great idea. Well done, gamer.
No, we gotta work on your gaming, man. God.
Now you're like, your question is, why haven't I finished Act 3? Your question is, how the hell did you make it to Act 3?
Honestly, I'm surprised you even found a way to make it to Act 3.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh,
right.
But basically, I found out that based on one of my rolls not being as high as I wanted it to finish off the fight,
Yeah.
Astarion went up for an attack, and one of my characters, I remember, because I was just so bummed that this didn't work out, and I really contemplated just starting the game over, or starting the save over. Because one of my characters got pushed back, which would have pushed them out of that melee range.
Yeah.
And so Astarion would not have been able to get the sneak attack damage. So I was like, you know what? Fine, whatever. I'm just gonna play it out, and then if I die, I die. Whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we go in for the attack, bang, hit with the second attack, and I think it was down to 6 HP, maybe 5 HP or something. But I found out later that if you get Auntie Ethel within 10 hit points just before her turn, it triggers a cutscene. And I was like, oh, sick. This is awesome. I'm thinking I did this correctly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Until I text you. And you said that you killed her. And I was like, what? How did you, you didn't get the cutscene,
Yeah.
So I find out that, during the cutscene, Auntie Ethel's like, hey, listen, if you let me go and you let me take Mayrina, I will give you a little, fun little nice item.
Oh, yes. Now I remember we did talk about this.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I'm playing the hero. So I'm not going to let you take Mayrina, but I'll let you live if you give me this thing, whatever. So I had to pass a persuasion, and I passed. And so we got to keep we kept Mayrina, but then Auntie Ethel basically tears off a part of her head. It's kind of gross, and hands it to you, which gives you a permanent boost to one of your stats for the rest of the game.
Wow.
So I just threw that I gave my point right into strength. So now at level 4 or 5, I'm at an 18 strength. And I'm just I'm rocking through,
Yeah.
So with this, you deal with Mayrina. Mayrina's husband is dead. And the basically find out how terrible, Auntie Ethel is by, her telling you all these basically they're lies, but she doesn't technically lie to you. They're just not full truths kind of thing, and that's her thing. That's how she brings the deals in and stuff.
Yeah.
She is I don't think we've actually mentioned it yet. Auntie Ethel is a hag, which in D&D is a not a mythical creature, but a magical being that basically strikes deals, kind of like a what's his name from actual fairy tales, strings the yarn of gold or whatever. You say his name and you break his curse. Says all the riddles always in green or in gold. You know what I'm talking about. Somebody
I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Rumpelstiltskin.
Put in the comment.
I figured it. Yeah.
There it was.
Rumpelstiltskin. So Mayrina is set free and you move on with the game. In your ending Act 1, you chose because you played the hero, you chose to take on the Goblin Camp, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you were doing the Goblin Camp, did you just before the Goblin Camp, there's this little town that you get ambushed and stuff. Did you talk to the 3 ogres?
Nope, I know about them, but I did not talk to them. Yeah, they help you out and stuff.
Yeah, there's a fun thing you can actually do with the ogres also at the end of it. If I don't know if you know about that one also.
No.
Basically, if you sweet talk the ogres, they give you a horn, and that horn allows you to call them in at any point during any battle, and they will fight for you if you pass all of your dice rolls and stuff, right?
Wow.
But what is really nice about it is if they die and you survive, the head ogre has an item on him that's technically inside of his head that is a crown of intelligence that boosts your intelligence up to 18 no matter what you are.
Wow.
It's super cool. Now, these are not all things that I discovered on my first playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I've played this game many times through.
Yeah.
So like a lot of these were things that I've discovered as I'm just like messing around with the game. But
Yeah.
it really was like, I think that's what I enjoy so much about this game is that you can play this game so many times and still discover something entirely new.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
so good, you
Yeah.
know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
There's so many ways to approach something and so many little secrets
yeah,
the big story beats might be similar, but you can completely alter how you approach it. And
yes,
that's insane.
100%. It's
And
so
like
good.
so many times over, it's not like, oh, there's 5 different ways to approach this. No, there's probably 65 plus different ways you could honestly do this, and they're all fully fleshed out. They make sense. They work. They've been thought through. It's just
Yeah.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah, and the amount of like the variety of like builds that you can choose. Like I think it's so beautiful about this game is that you can build your own custom character completely. Like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we went into it earlier, all the way down to,
Mm-hmm.
reproduction, all right? You
Mm-hmm.
can go everything, right? But also you even have the option to choose to play as one of the companion characters. So
Mm-hmm.
you can play the entire game as Astarion and
Mm-hmm.
play all of Astarion's like, sequential events that happen throughout the entire game. But now they're happening to you as, Astarion. Or you can go
Yeah.
through and you can be Will, who has a contract, right? You can go through and play as Lae'zel, who is struggling to find, her place with the with the different Kresh and the different like Githyanki groups and stuff. You can
Mm-hmm.
play as Karlach, who's like on the run from Avernus and from El Terrell and stuff. It's like all these things that like you can play as these characters
Yeah.
and still get an entirely different
Yeah.
version of the game. It's amazing. It is
It really
amazing.
is. It really is. It's unlike. It's truly to a depth and a detail and quality that just we've never
Yeah.
seen. Yeah.
And I think that's what they did so amazingly well in this game. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I will say, we are just about at an hour, and I would desperately beg for you to do a part 2 with me at some point.
Yeah.
Talking like maybe we'll go into Act 2 and Act 3 and stuff. But I think for the remainder of this episode, I want to talk about the companion characters
Yeah.
and why they're so special and unique to this campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start off with we'll go Gale. So tell me,
Mm-hmm.
who is Gale and what is Gale's like part that is played in this campaign? Like if you were if I was like, oh, what's Baldur's Gate and who are these people? If you were to explain who Gale is to me as someone who's never played the game before, what would you say?
Generally speaking, I would say Gale is a wizard who, at least at some point, had aspirations far beyond his station, and basically got himself into some trouble and got himself in a bit of a bind. And
Mm-hmm.
you, as a member of your party, you get to basically deal with the consequences of that.
Yeah.
But he's also an exceptionally powerful wizard and can do some real awesome shit in your party, and a pretty just your quintessential powerful, staff wielding wizard as well. So
Yep. So yeah, exactly. Gale is he basically has a curse,
Yeah.
which is where he has a tattoo or a marking or whatever on his chest, and the internet made a whole bunch of memes about him because
Mhm.
Gale actually technically has to consume in D&D and in Baldur's Gate, magic is not referred to as magic. It's called the weave.
Mhm.
And it is the basically the wave of energy that forms magic in these realms.
Mhm.
So Gale has to consume bits and pieces of the weave or magic items in order to kind of stay sane and stay like healthy and stuff. If he doesn't, really really bad things happen.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, Gale is a wonderful member who's added to the party. He is your wizard, who's kind of got his own things, but also um, had a romantic fling with a god or a goddess,
Yeah.
and it causes some things that we'll talk about in part two. But let's move on to Lae'zel. Lae'zel
Yeah.
is Lae'zel's our Githyanki, our space elf
Mhm.
as per se. Do you remember what Lae'zel's big thing is?
Well, I know that they are not super, like they are not from this area. They were like picked up before. Some of them were picked up before on the
Yeah,
ship.
yeah,
Is
they're
that right?
not. Yes,
They were like already fighting it.
yes. Lae'zel
Hmm.
was technically the first to be picked up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Um, but she has her biggest thing is dealing with this loyalty to her past and her people, but realizing that the truth is possibly not what she has been led to believe, and then has to kind of forge her own path.
yeah,
And then on top of that, then just mechanically, absolutely badass fighter on the battlefield as well.
yeah,
So.
yeah. Yeah. The Lae'zel is Githyanki fighter, um, but also is has kind of been shunned
Hmm.
from all of her family and like on all of her people and stuff, solely because Githyanki are most known for fighting the Illithid, the squid people.
Hmm.
And if you are known to be infected, then you run a risk to the lives of their people, and so they will shun you entirely, which is why
Hmm.
we have Lae'zel in our party.
Hmm.
We are pretty much attempting to give Lae'zel a second chance, and Lae'zel is trying to figure out why her people are so quick to, kind of shove her aside.
Hmm.
I really like Lae'zel's story.
Yeah.
Lae'zel's story kind of hit on a different level with me.
Mm.
I think the writers who came up with Lae'zel's like entire being and attitude and story and stuff, brilliant, truly so amazing. I
Yeah.
really really enjoyed Lae'zel's story. Um, let's go on to we'll give you a treat here. Tell me about Shadowheart.
Shadowheart. So yeah, I think probably the one of the default romance options for the straight male playthrough. Not entirely,
Yeah, it
but
would
I
be the
think
default.
probably one
Yeah,
of
I
the
see
more
that. I can see
popular
that.
ones. She
Yeah.
she kind of has that vibe. But she's a cleric for a rather dark god or goddess. And she
Shar, right?
Shar, yes, Lady Shar.
Lady
And
Shar.
she finds out basically as she goes along that the methods by which she came into service with this goddess were not entirely good, and that maybe her life is a lie. And I think her dealing with that, and it can kind of go one of two ways. Is quite is a really interesting journey. I feel like her story at least in my playthrough, it is the most closely like tied into stuff that you have to accomplish for the story at large as well. There's connections there that really like, you know, some companions side content doesn't, you know, while you can't really not do it, it doesn't feel quite as connected, whereas I feel like her stuff really connects to kind of what's going on a little bit. But yeah, really, really interesting. Kind of, yeah, learning to, again, almost in a, you know, it's funny because Lizelle and Shadowheart kind of butt heads in your party, but yet their story and what they need to accomplish is somewhat similar. Learning to, you know, push away from what you've been told and forge your own path. And then, like I said, as a cleric, you know, clerics can be really powerful, but I just feel like in the game it's a little harder to get a lot out of Shadowheart mechanically versus how much easier it is with some of the other companions. But I do find her very fun in the roleplay aspect. I like what she adds to in conversations and things like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, super well done. Well said. It's like Shadowheart is a super fun story. Shadowheart's original like default build is shit. Definitely one of the characters in the game that you definitely want to respec. Because Shadowheart is Shadowheart has a lot of very big decisions to make throughout the campaign, and I think Shadowheart has one of my favorite. I mean, I say it to every one of them, but like I really do enjoy like every single one of these like story arcs. But Shadowhearts is really cool because you really get to watch a character go from believing wholeheartedly in one thing and then understanding that maybe what we're told isn't always the right thing, and that the best decisions to make in life are your own decisions. And Lae'zel, not, why I keep saying Lae'zel, probably because their things are so close.
They really are.
Shadowheart has to make those decisions and choose. I will say, Shadowheart's the only character in the entire game that scratch that. We'll come back to that one. Is one of the only characters that, based on a decision, entirely changes, their appearance and attitude throughout the entire game. So going from that, let's get into the other obvious one. Will. Man, I just keep kicking my microphone. Will, the Sword of the Coast. Will is a super, super cool, very complicated character. Why don't you give us the synopsis on that one?
Yeah, I love Will. Will is probably the closest thing to like my buddy, my bro in this game. He's a man of such strong character, and it really encompasses probably, if I were to live in that kind of world, the kind of character I would try to have. A man who, you know, made some tough choices that really punished him pretty greatly, for the sake of what he felt was what was right and what was good, and supporting the people he loved, even knowing that those very people would not understand and would probably reject him. He did it anyways. And, you know, that type of being willing to make that type of personal sacrifice for the people you love. And it kind of puts him in a bind, because then he begins, you know, he's a warlock. He's in a pact now with a being that has very, very different morals than he does. And so, he is forced to work for someone that he doesn't usually agree with, and do things that he doesn't want to do. She also is very good at manipulating him and making him think that things that he is doing are good and right, when in reality they're not. Clearly, shown by his original early on obsession with another character, Karlak, thinking that he needed to kill her. When in the end, that was manipulation, and he was completely, led astray on that. So that's an awesome dynamic that you have to work through between him and Karlak.
And you actually get that decision too. As a
you
player,
get to pick.
you get to choose.
Somehow it's our turn. We get to pick, even though it's his own thing. Somehow the game makes that make sense. That you're not part of this at all, buddy. But you pick.
It's his contract. It's his contract, and he will do exactly what he needs to do. But for some reason, Will actually kind of ask you, like, "Hey, do you think this is a good idea?" Now, so did you have Will in your party before you found Karlak, or did you find Karlak first?
I found Karlak first.
I did as well.
I did not find him I didn't know. I saw him fight, and I was like, "Oh, there he is." And then, I did not go find him in the Grove.
I did not either.
I found Karlak, and so he just comes storming into the Grove.
Yeah, he's all pissed off and shit, and he's like, "Wow, you're the the devil I've been looking for," and you're like, "Man, I guess maybe." But so in the very, very beginning, you get the first decision, which apparently there are a lot of like the majority of players know of the transformation. And then like every so often you get to see somebody's like character playthrough, and you're like, "Oh, how come Will's not changed?" And then you're like, "Oh, where's Karlak? You monster."
Yep.
So in this basically if Karlak disappears, if Karlak is killed by Will, Will's patron will show up, Mizora, and she will say, "Hey, you did a good job there, little puppy, and I will grant you with this armor that basically is not as good as Karlak as a character, but I mean, I guess some people chose it, But the majority of players obviously chose to spare Karlak, which then causes Will to break his contract with Mizora or break the deal that they had with hunting down Karlak, which then causes an infernal punishment, which then turns Will, who is a human, into a tiefling, who now grows these big ass horns and everything, and so it becomes this more of a character development, as he's he was the sword of the coast, and he made this deal to be able to protect his friends and family and stuff, and now he's now that when he chooses to be kind and chooses to make the right decisions, is punished for it. And so how do you deal with that?
He doesn't like it either. It's rough. Like it bothers him a lot.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. But oh man, can we just talk about when you do kill Karlak? If you're running that way, man, the way she cries out when you defeat her, it is the worst. It's the worst.
You are a monster. Because I played the Dark Urge. I went the Dark Urge. Okay.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even kill Karlak.
Yeah, it's not dark enough.
I gathered in my Dark Urge, I got Karlak on my team, and then instead of like if you're playing the good side, you would go and you'd clear out the entire goblin camp. If you play the Dark Urge, you go to the goblin camp and you tell the goblins, "Hey, I got you," and then you'll go to the Grove and you'll murder everyone there. And in doing so, when you do this, you actually get Minthara, which is another playable character, but it's only a Dark Urge character. Or a Dark Urge companion. But when you kill the Grove, Karlak will say, No. I can't stand for this. I don't agree with this. I'm out. And will permanently leave your party. Now, when doing so will Will. So at one time, and this is where it really threw me off. I was doing my Dark Urge. I had Will, and I had Karlach, and I had Shadowheart, and I had Astarion. Or no, sorry. I had Astarion, Will, myself, and Karlach. And so when I went into it, and I was like, I betrayed the Grove. Shadowheart's like, or Karlach's like, no, can't do this, and leaves. And Will goes, no, can't do this, and leaves. So 2 members left my group at one time. So then it's just me and Astarion, and like you get a dialogue option with Astarion. Astarion just looking at you, and he's like, "What? I don't care." He's like, "Murder him. I don't. Whatever." He's like, "Are we doing this?" Like, he's like, "When's the bloodbath start? I'm with you till the end." And I'm like, "Oh, I love Astarion." Astarion is one of those characters that like if you do the full good path, like you get to see an amazing character change in Astarion. But if you decide to go full bad, you just get to see the coolest shit with Astarion. Like it doesn't matter what you choose in this game. Astarion's
He
like,
loves
oh,
it.
I'm with you. Like, yeah, and I love it. I love it so much. And can we just say, like, Neil Newbon?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I struggled with Astarion in my playthrough. I just couldn't get the mechanics of using him right. So I didn't use him a lot. And I definitely feel I'm
gonna change your entire world. I have a build. So we are, for those listening, I have a notebook that I'm showing on the stuff here. That has basically the builds that I have deemed the most useful and unique to the playthrough. And the reason I have that is because we are, like I've said it, I don't know, 40, 50 times already, we're on stream. And so I'm playing this. And so in order to keep the flow going, so that I'm not like boring, people watching stuff, just I'm able to like kind of quickly grab the things that I need while doing the builds and stuff. But I will send you this, and I want you to pick one of these builds and do that. And I guarantee you're going to be like, what the fuck have I been doing? It's so good. Brother.
Yeah.
This game cannot be broken down in one episode. I severely underestimated how far we were going to get into. Like we've completed Act 1. We completed Act 1. I mean, I feel like though we could definitely knock out Act 2 and Act 3 in one more episode.
Probably.
Would you want to do another episode with me within the next like a week or two?
Hell yeah, dude. Let's do it. Let's get her done.
So what are your initial thoughts then? We'll wrap this one up here. Baldur's Gate 3. What are your initial thoughts on Act 1 of Baldur's Gate 3? What did you think of it?
I think Act 1 of Baldur's Gate 3 is one of the best introductions to a world and a story and a set of gameplay mechanics as I've ever experienced in a video game. It is astoundingly well done, astoundingly well thought out. And to know that this is just the first act of an immensely dense and story rich game. It feels like its own game.
Yeah.
And that is such an accomplishment.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Well, if you're listening, or if you eventually, watch this on YouTube, comment, let us know what your favorite moment of Act 1 was. Because this game is huge. We have to do a part 2. For your favorite, so let's do your favorite moment of Act 1, your favorite companion, and who did you romance through your entire playthrough? Because I would really like to know. I think my prediction is that it's going to be here's my prediction for the whole itself. All right. I think favorite moments are going to be, you know, up to the people playing it, because everyone's going to have a different opinion for that, right? But I think
Yeah.
the favorite companion is going to come down to and I'm so sorry for this. I don't think Shadowheart's going to be on there. I think
Oh yeah, I
favorite
think some people
companions.
might romance someone without it being their favorite for sure.
Yeah.
And I
I
I
think
have to admit I'm kind of in that boat. Yeah.
really.
Oh yeah.
I think favorite companions are going to come down to either Lae'zel or Karlach.
Mhm.
And I think, or not, I think it's either going to come down to Astarion or Karlach.
Yeah.
And I think the romance ones, I think, are also going to be Astarion or Karlach. I think we're going to see a lot of like those two.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, because I fall into that boat.
Yeah.
We are actually on our public playthrough. We are going
Mhm.
with the we're romancing Astarion this round. But
There we
it's,
go.
let's see, the ones that we've done in all of my playthroughs. I think we've only ever romanced Lae'zel or Karlach. So it'll be really fun to like. Astarion's just always been like, you know, my buddy. So it'll be fun to
Yeah.
do like both.
It's hard to translate that over. But you're not
Oh,
making
I
that
mean,
decision this time.
not for me. I love Astarion.
Chat
That's why
said
I was so fine with
Astarian.
it. Yeah, I was so fine with it anyway. I was like, I was gonna do that anyway. I just had to
Yeah,
decide if we were gonna do the if we were gonna be super nice, then
yeah.
I was going to choose Karlach, and if we were going to be super evil, then I was gonna go with Astarion. And so I was like, either way. So then when chat was like Astarion, I was like, done. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, it's so good. Well,
Yeah.
so what? Well, before we end it, what are your predictions?
Oh, let's see. I think favorite companion. I think for me, I think it's going to come down to. I think Astarion might be a lot of people's favorite companion. Second, between Astarion and man, it's a toss up between Will and Karlach for the number 2 spot there.
Yeah.
Probably
Oh yeah, I could
Karlach.
definitely see that.
I think Astarion and Karlach would be my top 2 favorite companions. As far as romancing, I think it depends very much on the people, the type of respondents. I think for me, I would guess between also Astarion again. People want to do that bear shit that was shown, and then also and then I do think Shadowheart is
People
a
want to do that
popular
bear
choice.
shit.
But you know, there was that whole scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with we didn't even get to Halcyon. You get Halcyon at the end of
Yeah.
uh
Or if
well,
you
you get
does it happen if you
act
play as
two.
a druid as well? If you play as a druid
Dude,
yourself, I don't know.
fucking know,
Yeah, I
man.
haven't done.
I have not even tried that option. Man. Dude, thank you so much for doing this episode with me. This is so fun.
Oh, it was a
I
pleasure.
I love talking about Baldur's Gate 3. It was just you know, it was only a you know, time until we ended up doing an actual episode. So
Oh yeah, had to be
and
done. Had to be
I'm
done.
glad that you joined, because if you didn't, I was just gonna be here talking, you know, be like, I like
We're just doing
Baldur's Gate
solo.
3.
I love it.
Hey, Noah, let me
Yeah.
ask you this: where can people find you?
Well, they can find me. I am over on the YouTubes, still working on getting consistent upload schedules happening, but we try to upload as often as we can over on NC Chapman Nerdy Noah Reads on YouTube. Just search Nerdy Noah Reads. That's the best way to find me. And we like to we look at articles in the gaming TTRPG space primarily. Sometimes a little tech and just general entertainment thrown in there too. But love to talk about all things video games and D&D. And we read through you know, somewhat recent news releases and just kind of go through it and give my thoughts. So we have a lot of fun there. And sometimes I put the highlights up on the TikTok Nerdy Noah, so you can find me there too. That is where I'm at primarily.
Hell
If
yeah.
I'm not hanging out in the live streams on Phoenix Stewart, if you find me there, I'm called Fat Viking.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah, you gotta stop in and say hello. That's awesome, dude. If you're a fan of the show and you want to come check us out, go check out on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at Phoenix Stewart. You can find the show on Instagram at Who What Now Pod. You can find us on TikTok at Who What Now Pod, where a lot of the clips from the episodes before they come out are usually found on there. You can also find us on YouTube at Who What Now Gaming, where all of the videos get posted onto YouTube, so you can check those out. Say hi and whatever. We're looking at doing some additional content for YouTube, so that stay tuned for that. It's going to be pretty exciting.
Hell yeah.
We got some things in the pipeline we're working on, and we'll figure it out. And it as always, things take time. But if you're looking to find other episodes of this show, and you're looking to find where they are, you can find them anywhere you find podcasting on YouTube, and the TikToks, Instagrams, and all which ways, whatever. We would love to hear from all of you. Spotify has a new thing where you can actually send us messages. So
Amazing.
we are set up on there. So if you want to comment or ask a question or have something read aloud or talked about on the show, send us a message. We would love to hear from you. If you want to see me gaming live, we're on Twitch, twitch.tv / Phoenix Stewart, PhoenixStwrt. We do right now we're working through Baldur's Gate 3 on Saturdays and Sundays from 7 p.m. to midnight. And then we do a just chatting for the viewers kind of day on Mondays from 10 a.m. to 12, where we basically just we come on, we chat for about an hour, talk about this, that, and the other thing, and then we play some game that I find and try to not be terrible at it for the last hour. So yeah, if you want to check us out, those are all of our things. I'll throw all of the links. All of the links in the description below for myself and for Noah. We hope to see you back for part 2. We're definitely absolutely have to do a part 2 because it'd be crazy.
Hell yeah, gonna get ahead of Tom.
Yeah.
It's the only reason I'm coming. The only reason I'll be back.
I'll tell you. I mean, listen, Tom's been breaking into the house to do episodes and stuff. I had to bar up the windows from the last time he was in here.
Oh God, yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's pitchforks and everything.
If you haven't guessed, Tom's one of our mutual best buds, so we are gonna rag on him. Just what happens.
Just some guy we met. I don't know. You don't even know.
Actually, we have no idea who he is. He's just obsessed with being on the podcast.
If someone knows how to get in contact with us, please help us. Well, Noah, thank you so much for being here. We can't wait to have you back for the next episode.
Hell yeah.
And until next time, everyone, stay happy, stay golden, hug a tree, high five a squirrel, and be kind to your neighbors.
If you manage to do that, let me know how, because that would be really cool.
And as always, catch you on the next one. Take it easy.